I think if you watch my press conferences, I've started with myself when I've made mistakes. That's the standard for everybody. So I wasn't calling Mike out for anything but his responsibility in the details on that play. We all should be held to a standard. Your reaction?
So I saw this live, the McAfee thing yesterday, and my reaction in the moment wasn't much. And then yesterday on the way home, I was scrolling Twitter, and I came across Connor Hughes, who covers the Jets for SNY, and a video like a report he did, and I became incensed. So I went, and I'll explain it. So let me just show you the first 15 seconds of Connor Hughes from SNY yesterday, right after they got Devonte Adams, him summing up.
Well, the Jets lost to the Denver Broncos because they couldn't do anything on offense. They lost to the Minnesota Vikings because Allen Lazard dropped 4 passes, including a touchdown. And they lost to the Buffalo Bills on Monday night because Mike Williams ran the wrong route.
So, of course, what you don't hear anywhere there is the name Aaron Rodgers. And that is when I realized, Wilds, remember how last week I said, I basically called you a rube, called you a mark when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, that he tricks you and you believe him? I realized I was a rube yesterday. Because I let Aaron Rodgers set the narrative. Aaron Rodgers, by calling out Mike Williams, he made it to where the conversation was going to be, at best, for him, Mike Williams is not good. In fact, the Jets should trade him, and by the way, they are. And at worst, the conversation was Aaron Rodgers, bad teammate. But you know what conversation?
Leader.
You know what conversation wasn't had? Did Aaron Rodgers just lose them another game? Would the New York Jets be 5-1 if the last 3 weeks, instead of playing like this, Aaron Rodgers just played mediocre football? Did he lose them a game against the Vikings by throwing a pick to Mike Williams? And did he lose them a game against the Bills by throwing a pick that was maybe more his fault than he's letting on? So then I called up the finest football mind I know. That person didn't answer, and I found Coach. And I asked Coach, is what Aaron Rodgers, is the tale he's spinning true? So, Coach, I hand it to you.
Yeah, so the tale he's spinning is absolutely true. Mike Williams did make a mistake on the play. The problem I have with Aaron Rodgers is everybody has a chance to go to the podium. And the rule of thumb is you don't call out the other guys. If anything, you take accountability, especially at the quarterback position, because we understand that the quarterback makes a lot of mistakes, other guys make a lot of mistakes, and you're trying to protect each other and move forward without doing what Aaron does. And Aaron says, hey, he's holding everybody to a standard, which he should as a quarterback, but he doesn't have the same grace when people hold him to the standard, which is the problem I have. But let's take a look at the play, because Aaron is exactly right in this situation. So the Jets are lined up in this 2-by-2 formation. Wilson's going to run the over route down at the bottom. Lazard's going to run the middle read, and then up top, Mike Williams is supposed to run a fade, an outside release fade. It's cover 2 defense by the Bills, so the corners are going to press, and it's going to be half field by each safety. Mandatory outside release for Mike Williams. He's got to get outside. Now, at this point, he's inside the numbers. Aaron talks about the red line. That's an imaginary line 5 yards from the sideline that goes all the way down the field. We actually draw it on the practice field so guys know where it is. That's where Mike's supposed to be. Lazard draws through both safeties and the Mike linebacker who's taking it. And look at the space by the red line that's open, which is what Aaron Rodgers is expecting. So he comes off the middle read. He's going to the red line. Williams isn't there, so he tries to throw him a ball that he can adjust to. So he is absolutely right in terms of the sense that mandatory outside release, get deep. There's a space there because everybody had bit on the middle read by Lazard. And then when he realizes it and throws the ball, to that space.
So it's not fair to say, Rodgers underthrew it. He purposely was throwing it that way.
Well, he's expecting in that green area of the field that I showed you where Williams should be, he's expecting to be there. When he sees that Williams is actually inside the numbers, he's now trying to throw him a ball that he can adjust to.
But that's the part that I have a question about. Because Aaron says in the thing, he was like, I was doing a no-look. And when you look at it, it wasn't really a no-look, but that's fine. He doesn't. It's not 4th down.
Yep.
He doesn't have to make that throw. As you saw in the All-22 there, if people were watching, he has Breece Hall right there for a check down that might get the first down.
But it was, 3rd and 16?
It was 3rd and 16, and Breece Hall's got nobody within 10 yards of him. But you don't. I don't doubt that Mike Williams ran the wrong route. What I doubt is the narrative of Aaron had no choice, but when he realized the receiver ran the wrong route, to put the ball in jeopardy. He didn't have to make that throw. There were plenty of other things he could have done.
It was a pretty great play by the safety, too, just to give the Bills a little bit of credit. And the ball was positioned where Mike Williams was. It was a well-thrown ball, considering all things considered. So did he have to put it in jeopardy? No, he didn't have to put it in jeopardy. Did he have to call out Mike Williams? No, he didn't have to call out Mike Williams. If he had hit that play, he never would have held Mike to that standard.
Right.
You know, it's because he throws a pick, and now suddenly it's like, hey, it's not me, it's everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think people are starting to talk about if this season continues to go south, will it affect his legacy? And the natural thought, I think, is he's 40, he's coming off injury. If he's not the same player, it's no big deal. But I actually think this is a big deal because I think people, like, his lack of leadership is beginning, at least with me, I'm looking at, this is why he's only been to one Super Bowl in 15 years or whatever as a starter, as a healthy starter, because I'm big on the intangibles. And Brady didn't have as much physical talent. Montana didn't have as much physical talent. You could argue Peyton Manning, not as much physical talent as Rodgers. Mahomes does, but that's it. And they are the ones that consistently got to Super Bowls, even a guy like a Terry Bradshaw, because they had intangibles. And one of those, Coach, is taking accountability and not throwing your teammates under the bus. And I think Rodgers leads with his ego and his arrogance. Like, when you think of Aaron Rodgers outside of football, you think of arrogance, ego. You don't, any of those other guys I mentioned, you don't think of that. You don't think of arrogance or ego, even though they obviously have egos, but they have a healthy ego, whereas I think Rodgers is kind of gets in his way.
I also have this, like, I want to throw this at you, Wilds. How does it inform, now that we know Devonte Adams basically found out he was coming to the Jets Monday night, because he was there Tuesday morning, how does it inform us that Rodgers is throwing a guy under the bus publicly twice that he knows they're about to move on from? Like that he knows once Devonte is coming there, Rodgers knows, I knew it. Everyone covering the Jets. Yeah. Right, but that's a word to me that is such a sleazy move.
Well, but how about the fact that the reason Devonte Adams was at the Raiders in the first place is because Aaron wanted all the money in Green Bay.
Right.
He needed
Andy loves Derek Carr. We have to be fair there.
Yeah. He needed a new contract, so they couldn't say it. Like, there's so many issues. I think at the end of the day, when we all move on, and it's a few years removed from this experience, people are going to forget about the interviews. People are going to forget about all this stuff, and they're going to look at his body of work. And
I'm in an odd spot, because I find myself being the Aaron Rodgers defender, which I didn't necessarily think I was going to be. But the Jets are, I believe, the most penalized team in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Nobody there knows how to win or has ever won anything. And I know Aaron Rodgers had his playoff foibles, but he's still the winner on the team. He has been consistent about the false starts and telling Saleh to hold people accountable. And Mike Williams running the wrong route, holding him accountable. It's not like he's doing something totally out of character.
No, but
if he wants to run a tight ship, like.
But holding people accountable isn't just in press conferences.
Correct.
Holding people accountable is every day in practice. It's in meetings. It's a consistent standard that, like, Tom Brady held people accountable at all times, including himself.
The only thing I would think, and this is just a theory, did Mike Williams run the right route every time in practice, or is it something that Aaron Rodgers spotted and it finally came to fruition and it was like, you know what, that's the straw that broke the camel's back?
Did Mike Williams, after the Vikings game, say, throw it to the proper shoulder and we win the game, Aaron? Yeah, they lost the game. That was not the wrong route.
He can't. I mean, is he going to call out Aaron Rodgers?
No, nobody is.
Is Austin Reeves going to call out LeBron?
No, but the only guy who did call him out for anything that was unimpeachably wrong, skipping minicamp, lasted 5 weeks before the owner fired him.
Yeah. And let me just add, the way that Tom held receivers accountable is if you didn't go to the right spot, he wouldn't throw you the ball.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.